Thank you, Jordi, for the introduction. And thank you, everyone that is behind this summit, because we are having a very amazing time. And thank you also to all my team, that I can't see anyone here, but that is behind this presentation. We have made a big effort to have this ready. So probably, as many of you already are agreed, that in order to create better cities, the community role is absolutely crucial. But it is enough to have a transformative community to actually transform reality in cities. To answer this question, in the next 9 minutes, I would like to share 3 main lessons that we learned working with a very special community in the last 2 years. So let's start with lesson number 1, that is related with expectations. But first, let me give you a little of context. We are from Chile, and our lab is located in Concepción, that is one of the biggest cities in the Biobío region. And during the last 2 years, we have been working with a very strong and powerful community that live in Concepción, particularly in a neighborhood that is called the Costanera, which is a very special piece of the city because this entire neighborhood was built and founded by their own community over one of the biggest rivers of Concepción. So as you can see in this picture, some of the first houses of this place was building over the water, something that from my point of view is very impressive. 90 years ago, this was the landscape of this place, and today, the same place looked like this. And here we have the Costanera neighborhood that today is considered one of the biggest informal settlements of Concepción. But you know what? This place also has some good attributes that is relevant to tell you. And for example, this place is just 1 block away from the city center. So that maybe is the reason why today more than 15,000 people live in this place. And also you can find more than 5,000 houses located inside this area. However, and obviously, we're still having some issues related with informality, as you can see in this 2 slide. But the biggest problem of this neighborhood is that just between the city center and the Costanera neighborhood, we have a train line that is obviously very dangerous for older people, for children. But the biggest problem is that today, neighbors that live probably 1 block away from the city center, they have to walk more than 15 minutes to get and to have access to all the facilities and services that are located downtown Concepción. But you know what? The founder community is still alive, and they are fighting really hard every single day, and believe me, every single day, try to get better conditions for the community that live in this area. So 2 years ago, we were fascinated with the history of this place and the stories of these families. So we started working with this guy, trying to make an upgrade in their quality of life. And we go inside this neighborhood, trying to understand what is the reality of this place, how these people live, what kind of work they have, and basically understand the quality of their house, of their public spaces, and identify the DNA of this territory and of this community. And after a lot of participatory instances, we finally get the main community expectations. And as you can see in this slide, the rail tunneling or to have an underground train is one of the biggest problems that this community is having today. But you know what? When we first hear the topics of these summits, inside our team, we bring the topics into our tables and we ask, can we consider the Costanera as a transformative community? Just considering the history of this place, how these people live, and actually understanding that these guys basically built an entire neighborhood over the water. But before I answer this question, I would like to talk about reality. And what I mean about reality is basically what are the main things that today are happening in this place. And for this, a few months ago, we analyzed all the public projects that are planned in this area for the next 10 years. And we were very surprised that the public sector have more than 75 new projects for this, just for this neighborhood. That is a lot if you compare with other neighborhoods of the same city. And 42% of these projects are related to make an upgrade or to create new public spaces. 22% are focusing on build new houses for the family that today live in this neighborhood. And 20% of these projects are trying to solve some mobility and traffic issues that today are affecting the community that live in this place. But you know what? The biggest problems that we identify after we analyzed all this information is that if you compare the expectations or community expectation with the reality of the place, it doesn't make any sense. And just to give you an example, the people, as already told you, they really want to make a rail tunneling or to have an underground train. But when you ask authorities, they are thinking to make some projects related to build new bridges into this area. And they think that this is enough to reconnect the city with this neighborhood. Just to give you another example, when we talk about houses with this community, they really are looking and they are fighting to get some public budget to make an upgrade into their houses. Because remember that these people build their houses by their own hand, and they have a special feeling for their houses. But authorities are thinking to build new apartments and take the families out of this place and bring them to new buildings. So basically here, we have two different points of view for just one neighborhood. And the question is, how do we know which is best? And to answer this question, we want to talk about lesson number 3, that is the last one, and is related with aligning expectations and reality. And basically with this, we mean how we can go from transformative community ideas to a transformed city. As probably many of you, we really believe in our lab in data and numbers and indicators as a huge tool to help people to take better decisions for the development of the city. But after these 2 years, the community experience becomes something that is very relevant for us. And it's so important to integrate and to create a new scenario that can consider the perspective of the community, the stakeholders, and all the bubbles of information that today are flying in the air separately. And our role today as a city science lab is trying to create and align all these bubbles to finally change the reality of this community and go into a transformed city. So today, we have an amazing interdisciplinary team that is working every single day with 3 main missions in mind that actually we learn working with these communities in the last 2 years. And these are, first, let's talk and learn. Then, let's align expectations and reality to finally let change our cities. Thank you so much.